Well, folks, we're back for another Titans card review, and we got two new Titans today for Priest and one for Hunter. You'll see behind me. We also have little Regina here joining me for the review. She just spit up on me a few minutes ago. I had to clean up. So world first baby review and world first covered in baby vomit review. So let's talk about these new Titan cards. This is Agrabah the Avenger, 6 mana 3/7 for Hunter. He's going to equip a 3/3 Tayshalak for you on his battle cry. So that's just a base weapon there, as you can see above me. But each of his 3 abilities will modify the weapon in some way. Now, do keep in mind for how Titans work, in case you've forgotten, since last time, the turn you play these, you get to use one of these 3 abilities, and then if they survive into future turns, you can use another ability on the second turn, and then the third ability, if it manages to survive on the third turn, the Titan will not be able to attack regularly as a normal minion. During those phases, it will be using abilities instead of attacks, although it can take damage and be attacked. So hard to keep these alive for multiple effects. I think most of the time we assume the Titans are going to get off 1 effect, occasionally 2, I would say rarely ever 3. But in this case, you're going to get a 3/7 body on board and one of these abilities immediately to upgrade your weapon. The first is Swift Slash. This will give your weapon +2 attack, and your hero is immune while attacking. So in Hunter, honestly, a 5/3 weapon is probably going to go face a lot. Like, I wouldn't sleep on that. Getting a body on board that demands an answer and also just smacking for 15, it's kind of good, I think, for a lot of builds on turn 6. That's just a lot of damage to persist over time. And if you need to, of course, since you are immune, you can just use that to clear stuff up too as necessary if you think that's like going to protect your Agrabah, or the game's going to go a little longer, or your opponent's not quite close to dead yet. But many times I think you just want that like 5/3 15 damage weapon. That's kind of nuts. You've also got Commanding Presence, which will give your weapon, after your hero attacks, summon a 3/3 Enforcer with Taunt. So if you need to be a little bit more defensive, or maybe, like grind down an opponent, this could be 3 additional 3/3 bodies on this weapon, which that's definitely going to stack up. You get a 3/7 and a 3/3 right away, assuming you're attacking right away, and that 3 damage. So, tidy up something small on board, get a couple bodies, and then set yourself up for the next 2 turns as well to grind out some additional value. That's pretty cool. And then finally here we have Maintain Order, which will give your weapon, after your hero attacks, you draw a card. So you need some reload as well. This could be reload only 1 card additionally per turn, but over 3 turns, of course, that could give you a bunch of additional resources. So, this card's interesting. I don't think any of these are like crazy good plays, like the turn you play Agrabah. It's not instantly game winning outside of, maybe 5 damage, literally being lethal sometimes. But I think there's just sort of a critical mass of things happening across all of these options. Like, you've got this body they probably have to deal with. You maybe get multiple cards out of it. The weapon itself, it's all just stacking up. There's like 3 or 4 nice little things happening. And when you combine all of this together, I don't know. I think some decks are going to care enough about all of those. It's not big and swingy and decisive and crazy, but it's just kind of good. Maybe all these little elements do add up to enough to get there to be a complete package. I think that 15 damage is going to be relevant sometimes. I think the taunts are going to be relevant sometimes. I think the card draws are going to be relevant sometimes. If you ever get 2 of these going, that weapon's going to be an absolute monster. So the opponent does feel like they have to deal with the Agrabah on time. 7 health, still pretty awkward to deal with. So especially if you're a Hunter deck that's kind of been playing from ahead a little bit and the opponent's exhausted a lot of resources or is behind on board, maybe this sticks. Maybe you do just start to overwhelm them with all this stuff here bundled into this weapon. So I don't know, as a one of tossed into a mid-rangey Hunter deck, yeah, I can definitely see some lines for Agrabah. So next up here, we're moving over to Priest with Amun Thul, a new 7 mana 3/10. So big health total there to work with if this can stick around on board at 10 health. Titan keyword, of course, and after this uses an ability, discover any legendary minion. Now that any is an important word because that does expand the use cases here for Amun Thul. Normally when you discover, you can only do from your own class and from neutral in the discover pool, but that any expands that to be able to discover from other classes as well. It still follows the format rules we're told by developers on Twitter, so you can't get like a wild format legendary in standard. or something, you know, in Twist that's outside of Twist, etc. So sticking to your format, but it can pull from other classes. So priest and neutral like normal, and then also other classes as well, which might be an attempt to reduce the consistency of the cards. You're not hitting like awesome priest legendaries all the time. Alternatively, it might just be to have more fun, you know, and more surprising pulls from other classes. So each time you use an ability, so the first turn, you're going to get one of these 3 abilities, of course. These are the important parts. Shape the Stars allows you to choose a non-Titan minion and summon a copy of it with +2/+2. So that could be your opponent's minion that you copy theirs, or of course one of yours that you copy as well. You've also got Strike from History. Choose 2 enemy minions and remove them from the game. So they just poof out of existence. It's actually a pretty sick removal card there, actually. Being able to handle any kind of minions, deny death rattles, silence, etc., along with that removal. And then finally, Vision of Heroes. Summon a random 6-cost minion, and then give it Taunt and Lifesteal. So pretty interesting, different assortment of options here. I think number 1, Strike from History is probably going to be your best bet for this card most of the time. Play a 7-drop that removes a couple of things from your opponent's board. That's going to be a fantastic result that you're really happy with. Excuse me as I have a little gap here to go pick up and feed my my crying child. So Strike from History, awesome swing on board. You know, it's going to be, I think, your go-to default option here when you're behind. But if you're not behind, you still maybe want to play like more for control, more defensively. You also have Vision of Heroes, which will summon you a 6-cost minion and then give it Taunt and Lifesteal. So a little bit more proactive there. Get a big body that can still maybe restore you some health, and more importantly, perhaps, protect Aman'Thul, because if he lives for a second turn, then you're going to get an awesome play. So it's like, man, I'm a little bit maybe ahead on board. I play Aman'Thul. I get my 6-drop taunt. The opponent feels like they can't even play any minions into Aman'Thul because they know they're just going to get struck from history with this other ability. So it could be a pretty frustrating card to play into if you don't have that instant removal for it, which at 10 health is going to be tough for some decks, I think, to manage to swing this fast enough. So I actually think this looks pretty scary. You can play from behind just fine with Strike from History. That's going to be a great board clear option for like bigger threats or, you know, death rattle threats, whatever kind of effect you want to negate. Could be really nice. And then you've also got these other options as well if he does stick around. I don't think Shape the Stars is going to be as good as often, probably, but there'll still be moments you had some awesome, big, crazy, awesome thing you wanted to copy anyway. Some big death rattle, some big, you know, Light Shower Elemental comes to mind, even though that's not currently in standard format. You get the idea. Some big, awesome defensive card like that for a Control Priest. So I do think with Control Priest already being a good deck, this could be something that slots in really nicely, is not too expensive for them to play, offers enough immediacy and enough long-term threat. Not to mention you're just getting all this value from discovering these legendary minions. So, you know, you're getting a play now, but also maybe something cool and surprising and unpredictable off this legendary discover as well each time you hit the button. So both value and defensive utility for Priest. That's things Priest loves. This card looks pretty good. Agrimar is a 4-star card. Aman'Thul is a 4-star card. And there you go, folks. That wraps it up for this review. Things went a little haywire for me this time, thanks to this little stinky cute baby right here. But we made it work. We made it happen. So share your thoughts on these cards below. I think there's going to be a lot more Titan reveals over the next few days or whatever, so stay tuned for those. Thanks much as always for watching, and until next time, game on.